Just chillin' here. You always wondered what JC stands for. Just chillin'. My parents had a sense of humor. Anyway, I want to talk to you for a minute about perception. And perception, how important it is in your life. Why would perception be so important? Well, the reason why is nothing has any meaning except the meaning we give it. And the meaning we give it is based on our perception. Not somebody else's perception, but our perception. Why is that so important? In our nervous system, we have the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. Why this is so important to understand is that when we use our sympathetic nervous system, it's the flight or flight syndrome. Any process that's not critical for survival gets shut down. Did I say critical for health? No, I said critical for survival. So it means that anything that's not critical for survival, any of the process in your body, stop. And you go into this flight or flight syndrome. Conversely, your parasympathetic nervous system creates homeostasis in your body, which is really important. It's sort of like rebooting your computer. Your heart rate slows down, everything returns back to normal. Now I'm going to go ahead and shrink down the video of me talking so you can see what I'm perceiving, because this is what got me thinking about this. Because when I look out and see the water, smell the ocean, hear the sounds, it puts me into a state that my parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. And it's very, very healthy to be in that parasympathetic nervous system, which you ought to do at least 1 time or 2 times a day, every day of your life. Now, the interesting thing about this is, and this is back to what I was mentioning about perception. The way I perceive this environment, it's very relaxing for me. Does that mean everybody would feel relaxed in this environment? No. This is the critical distinction. Imagine somebody was at the beach as a child, and the parents went to put everything in the car, and the child was on the beach with a shovel or whatever, and turned around, the parents were gone, and freaked out, thought he was left at the beach, or her. She was left at the beach, and panicked. Now they might come to the beach and feel that panic again because it's created an association in their nervous system. Maybe somebody had a little raft or something like that, a blow-up toy they used to float around on, and all of a sudden one day it lost the air and they started to sink, and somebody had to grab them out of the water and they almost drowned. Again, the perception of being in water, around water, or the ocean or whatever could create a sensation in their body. Their belief about that would kick in their sympathetic nervous system, their flight or flight. So what you have to do is understand what in your life, in your perception, triggers these two that can get you into these states. Because what you need to do ultimately is to avoid anything that puts you into your sympathetic nervous system, and try and do as much as possible to keep yourself in that parasympathetic nervous system. Now this environment, for her, what do you think it represents? She's kicked right into her parasympathetic nervous system, relaxing. Very relaxed. So I come out here and it's almost hard not to fall asleep. I get so relaxed. Now the interesting thing is too, in modern life, we're almost constantly in a state where we're firing off our sympathetic nervous system. We're in that flight or flight syndrome because of traffic, because of a job we don't like, a boss we don't like, a relationship we don't like, a neighborhood we don't like. Watching the news, oh, this is a big one. I know people that run the news in the background for background noise. Well, your unconscious mind hears that. You think that makes you relax to hear all the bad things that are happening in the world? No, it's unhealthy. I have a firm belief that our world changed and human beings changed when we actually got satellite TV. And what I mean by that is, up until when I was young, the only news was what happened locally. The international news took a day or two to get to us, so it was old news. It wasn't happening in the moment. We knew what was going on in our local neighborhoods. And our local neighborhoods back then were very safe. You didn't lock your doors. The kids went out and played and were told to come back in after the streetlights came on. And, you know, you could drink out of hoses. Nowadays, it's not like that. even kids with these video games, they're adrenaline junkies. They stay in that sympathetic nervous system, which is very unhealthy for their body. They're producing adrenaline and cortisol and all these unhealthy things. And so our lives need this balance, this homeostasis. What I suggest to you is don't come to Thailand just because it's cheap. And this could be anywhere. It could be Latin American countries, it could be Cambodia, it could be back in your own country. You need to create a lifestyle that keeps that balance for you. If you come to, say, a country like Thailand and you don't enjoy or perceive all the things that are good here, it's very easy to perceive all the things that are bad. Oh, I don't speak the language. I don't understand what people are saying. Oh, the traffic. Oh, the driving. Oh, I walked on the beach and they're not conscious of trash on the beach. And I mean, I did this thing about expatitis syndrome on a video. And that was about people that are constantly perceiving the things that keep them into that sympathetic nervous system where they're under stress all the time. And they're bitching and complaining the whole time because that's what they perceive, that's what they feel. Now, how do you stay in the parasympathetic nervous system as much as possible? Well, that comes down to your beliefs about what things mean. This is why Buddhism and studying spiritual practices and stuff can help you stay in that parasympathetic nervous system more and more. The third patriarch of China said the great way is easy for those that have no preferences. And that's true. In these days that we live in, I think it's paramount to have preferences. You have to prefer something, one thing over another. The key to being happy and staying happy is not being attached to those preferences. You might want the ruby, but if you get the emerald, you're okay with the emerald. But know that both of them are gems. When you can do that, develop a set of beliefs. I believe everything happens for a reason. That's my belief. And so I believe in spiritual flat tires, and what that is things I allow the universe to speed me up or slow me down. Now, do I do this all the time? No. Sometimes we all get caught up in life. But if you can allow yourself to be sped up and slowed down, knowing that speeding up or slowing down is like you on the accelerator, getting you to the place that you're trying to get to. And of course, you don't go flat out and put the pedal to the metal, because you'd smash into something. You'd run into the back of somebody. You always have to let up and slow down to stay safe. Well, I believe that the universe is doing that for me. That's my belief. I put out there what I want, take what it is that I get, and allow the universe to speed me up and slow me down, to put me in the right places at the right time to get what I want, and to keep me away from the places that I shouldn't be, to help keep me safe. I hope that makes sense to you. And this is why my criteria, when I talk about places that I think is conducive for a Ripper to live, don't include certain areas that I call my no-fly zones. My no-fly zones would be different than somebody else, because this comes back to that sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. My no-fly zones put me into the sympathetic nervous system. I don't think it's safe there. I don't think it's safe there. You might think it's perfectly safe there. But statistically, I look at the statistics, plus I've lived in a lot and traveled to a lot of these places. So for me, when I get there, I think that there's higher crime, higher statistical averages that something bad's going to happen. They're more expensive. You're more subject to being scammed. So overall, the things that I feel are conducive to having a quiet, peaceful retirement in your golden years are less in my no-fly zones. There's less chances of you staying in that parasympathetic nervous system. Like somebody replied when I said Phuket was on my no-fly zone list. They said, well, if you just make sure you're not out after dark and you go out with somebody and you don't drink too much and you know, you stay away from the tourists there, and well, they had this list, this criteria to remain in that parasympathetic nervous system, to feel comfortable in that environment. Well, I don't want the list. I don't want to have to abide by a list. I want to just feel comfortable most of the time. Now, you going to feel comfortable all the time? No. But you need to do it as much as possible. Also, if you live in an environment that creates that sympathetic nervous system response, you need to understand what it is you need to do on a daily basis to create that homeostasis again. It could be meditation, could be a hot bath, could be going to the seashore, could be reading a book, could be painting a picture, could be anything that creates that within you. So I hope this is helpful to you all, because these are the distinctions that I think are really important. No matter, a lot of my members and people that watch YouTube, they're saying, yeah, I'm going to retire. I'm watching your videos, but I'm 4 years out, I'm 2 years out, I'm 5 years out from being retired. Well, this kind of information I want to share with you all is to help you during that process as well. Because if you can do this and live that kind of lifestyle and then come over, it's much more helpful. I've always said you need to be your own best friend before you get to Thailand. Because if you're depending on the external environment to make you feel a certain way, you're doomed. And that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter where you live. It's the same. You can't be your own worst enemy. You are you. And wherever you go, you take yourself with you. And so you got to be aware of what's going on between your ears and let go and try and just relax and enjoy life. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it's a challenge. You might not be in a place where you can get your mocha yen, iced mocha. You might be in an environment, people are around you talking in a language you don't understand. You gotta be in your own little world. I've always said my Thai plateaued at a certain level because I don't want to hear the idle gossip and conversations going on around me. I have to focus on what people are saying, then I can understand. The rest of the time, it's just like the sound of that water. It's white noise. And to me, that's great. I stay in my own little parasympathetic bubble. Whatever it is for you, it's time to start figuring that out. There'll be a certain amount of stress of packing up and moving to another country. But again, some people come over to Thailand and all of a sudden, it puts them in that parasympathetic nervous system because some of those things we lost that we had as a kid, that are reminders of how great life is, they see and perceive here and focus on. Those are the people that will come over and fit right in. If you're just coming to run away from something, that's not a good thing, because you might find it over here as well. So keep all this in mind. I'm going to go back to just chilling. And remember, when it comes to perceiving life, there's always an option. See ya. Hey, JC here. If you like that video, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel here. Also, we have another video up here you're going to be really interested in watching as well. And if you're looking for all the details of how to retire in Thailand in one place, plus a group of people to support you, check this out over here. Give it a click.